Part 19. All the help you can get. So, let's start this chapter. Stay tuned. I have been telling you all the thing I do to build my businesses. To keep the customer coming in to ask me and to buy cars from me. And you have probably been sitting there thinking it all in, but thinking that no signal human being could do all that, still find time to eat a couple of times a day and get home to change clothes once a week. Let's look at my story again. In my first full year of car selling in 1963, I sold 267 units. Anybody in the business will tell you that a salesman who sells 267 cars a good living. No award winner, no mention in gymnast, but a pretty good bag. Then or now, my output got up to 307 the next year and to 343 in 1965. By 1966, I had begun to take a good look at that work that was working for me, and I began focusing on those things that I could see were producing the most results for me. In other words, I had learned where my strengths were and I started using them as the best I could. I was sending out my own direct mail. I was bringing to promote breeders, and I had learned by then my customers would not machines. So how did I do in the first year of that? I really was opening out of experience and careful self-analytics. How did I make out in the first year that I was no longer opening or instant and fuel? In 1965, I sold 343 cars and trucks, but in 1966, my total scored to 614 units. I was selling a lot of cars and trucks and I was making a lot of money, but I was beating my brains out, staying late to the office to catch up on paperwork and telephone calls. At the end of the year 1969, the man who does my income taxes looked after figure and said, "Joe, you are connecting yourself out it, you are playing the help of the government. Why don't you spend some money to get some help? And here's some arms to legs to help you. It will only cost you 15 of every dollar you spend. British, you are able to communicate more and the things you did not like best. Closing the sale, and you will to be able to pay somebody else to do routine stuff. Not just read over the word, he said to me, I am inbound to my employers for possibly saving my life honorably. Making more than sales and money, all cannot put any better than that any of you who were raised in the fairly high tax bucket. In fact, I have talked in the many amount of the yearly Italy. And he says that some people, salespeople who make more than 200 USD a year working alone can afford to pay for at least some part-time outside help. The key point is that I end up with a lot more money than every dollar I spend on outside help. It's a capital investment. Instead of buying a machine, I buy the time to human being to free me to do what I do best. Verse is closing. Remember that nobody sells all alone. To sell your customer, you used help whether you think you do it that way or not. You use the telephone, you see the mail service, you will make use other people to organizations such as cities, shrink clerks, machines, toilets, and others. You have other people to do what they do better than you can. I started using outside help when my mailing lists started taking too much of my time. I hired high school students part-time staff and addresses my mailing. You may never have more than a handful of names in your mailing list, but if the list get even good more than few hundreds of the number the mailing gets up there, you can probably afford it the time you takes the routine stuff unless you think you can't make more than 5 to 7 hours when you are working. I'm serious. That's the way I took the numbers. If you can only make 1500 an hour, and I'm sure you can do a lot better than that. You are still a way effort to paying somebody five to do some the nuzzling clothes because even if you get only 1500, you cannot $10 and afford the hiring somebody else to free you. That is simple mathematics, and there is no way argue it away unless you like to do nostalgic work. And it's safe the case you are organized the gate the businesses you would be happier not selling. After I heard that work of the May taxman, I heard a young man I had met a few weeks earlier, and a friend of mine had sent him to see me to learn about the selling businesses. I called him and put him to work getting customer for me, but what time a lot people were coming to asking for Girard. Often there would be people willing while I was closing another customer. I lost some them because they could not that the willing to lift or another salesman that in the some showroom handle that them. Besides that, I was losing the customer warm. I was about the closer because I would important by other people coming in the calling me. I never take phone calls now when I closing a customer. I have somebody to handle my business call and I don't get personal calls because I tell everybody not to call me at a work unless there is genuine emergency. So I hired this fellow to help me. I trained him to great people and explained to that I was straight up the moment, but that I would help them as he could. He would interview to qualify them, show them about a car, and answer their questions. Also, he would tell a careful look is their trade in, takes them up registration right. Afterward, he would call him in the closing office and tell me what he found out. I trained him to look for clothes and hobbies, travels, family needs, and it was that respect that has supported other dealers. He would also tell me the condition of the car and customer drive in. My income increased by more than what it cost me to employ this assessment. He made money and I made money. Once I heard seen the value of this employee, I know that I was the way to go. In 1966, I sold almost twice the money the cars without helps as I had so in the before, but it's particularly killed me. I could not possibly help gone through another year like that without help, but I could not stand still. I had to keep breaking records after I had broken everybody else's records. I had to go on breaking on my own. My budget computer. It went no warm, a complete waste. I cooperated with Jogiert when I did today. I went to that blood tomorrow. There's a nobody else to compete with because I have passed the all. I read all articles somewhere about the flow, the lands who supported with the biggest politic salesman. And I guess he is. But I looked at his figures and I realized that even though Colonel calls for twice as much compared, I not only outsell him 3 to 1 is until bags I probably sell twice many dealers with doubts and I know that my classroom take to more to twice his. Is so else there compared they expect Zucker nobody. That's only I can keep breathing. My own record is to spend some money on the hire people to help increase my output. Otherwise, I would reach a limit where I could never able to grow anymore. That would kill me. I would also down the volume and income. And I selling is my job and money is my reward. But what is the most important from a business standpoint is that you get the greatest possible leverage by hiring people to help free you do it your most productive work. And if you are a professional salesman, your greatest skill and your greatest joy is closing. And that is the kill, that is the victory, the power and is the glow of selling. I use my help now to allow me on to focus most my working time on closing a break. In 1970, I hired my first time employee, a young man named Nick Renz. He is still with me, and he is now my right hand, running the administrative part of the offering, the helping me and other business ventures, especially my speaking work, the sales group, and my sales film program. My son Joe also works full time for me. He earns a salary that a lot of salesmen would consider good by paying them good money. I make even more than I ever could opening alone. The truth is, as I helped pointed out, that none as the operating as on man. He wouldn't make this sell a lot of salesmen don't to deliver. All operate at the part of huge economic system where everybody depends on everybody else. The trick is to be command of the largest part of that system. So that's the make you from the other people. Efforts and even through the part of them the fair pace of their work. My son Zoe is now is since the wall of the fronted int and the our operation. By this I mean that's a great our customers line out them as they awaited their turns and gets the information and he gained from them. He is lot of more than greater. He is our intelligence agent. He shows them the curve, presents its officer, gives them a documentation right, and handles the right teams, and he is on the lookout for all the clues and I wanted easier. He does most of the job to trying to find out the what kind of person we are delivering with his interests are, what he wants to buy, what is the effort of what we can do to sell him. Shortly after the job process the customer into my closing office. He calls from me the showroom on the phone, thinking the things that of the people planting I was talking to somebody else. But what's really happening that the clothes are giving in March report customer. He's telling me mileage of the car, the condition of the trees, puts all kinds things like the diplomat, the bumper sticker, and to empty box cells and anything available giving information is the determining the customer getting the him over the head of buying cars in to buy. I have said a lot about that fear, but just to try to think of what that person is going through. He is probably on average working class guy and he is to spend maybe 500, 5,000 on automobile. That is as much as many work for months and he has time figuring the basic fact what he are trying to do to get the thinking of the point of where he's making the pressure. Now have to hear to mind that nobody focused him to out the pillars of businesses. However, must mail, however, must possession of the breeze to get us not getting from in until he wants car and needs a car. What the car trying to do makes that decision to come true in the most painless way possible. And the more information about the customer that is pays to me that the phone call, the quicker and the more effectively I can close the customer and go on the next on. When I say more effectively, I mean putting him into the best possible care he needs to go to the work, to take his family places and to get his spare time attendance at the prices he can afford it. Remember that I never went to divorce a man about the amount of his monthly payment on other never will be have to make. I went to him to able to manage every split of that car, including paying for it because it's a him soldier join in his main still commission. But he's not going to like his memory to buying from me. I guess it could be that said using help I can do a better job to getting the right car, the right prices for the right person because my intelligence augmentation works better. Joe also helped me keep our customers sold because it's such a job to the thinker deposit clicks and bring great to them. However, there's a saying the word for confuse the on the other hand the customer and deposit his significant of the other from I hope is nobody in a car. Nick tells about he handled the other side of the administration. The work was to detailed credit insurance and the restaurant administration the sole things as is paperwork for the office. He makes sure that all the proper information on the customer gets into our files. What do? I close. I get the customer to point what they say and yes means yes, not maybe or I will you no. Great performance is the truth. I have said that selling is acting. I put on a performance for my customer. I did lie more than an actor of the Korean at the stage of lying. I play that point. I traded an advisor. I preserve when you say what is the customer paying. Sir banker, you know how to Alan banker. It's a no SE banker, but it's also believed the current the customer ends baker. It's not telling you like when you give great performance. And another mean it's all thing I played it and I also geared looking to great their fall from the selling another car and I looking to make some money, more money. I need help to get the script ready and to help me to get the audience out of the theater after a performance. I used to do well my job myself and I did it pretty well. I waited few hours even before I started employing the other people to help me, but now with their help I am doing even better. And the more you make, the more you can afford to use help so that you earn even more. Once you are working every minute of every day, there's no other way to grow except by using other people intelligently and efficiently. No other way. That's not completely true. A lot of the people ask me how I never went into businesses for myself and because it delivered. The simple answer is that I am a salesman. It's true that I did not a lot of the other things in that first 35 years of my life because before I became a salesman, but for most of the part I did not do very well. It was not until I discovered selling needed is discovered it that I really found something I loved and never wanted to stop doing. But now selling is a great joy, the great state frozen and the great money producer of my life. I could probably raise the money to become a dealer and I could probably run a pretty good organization, but it's done to went to. I am having to good our time to selling. I have to top people who earns a good money handling my operations. I did not have to watch them. I had to potential capital, security, or management decisions to make. My dealer makes more than I would do insurance because he has a lot of money he invested in my businesses and because it's a lot more businesses responsibilities than I do. But I makes a lot of money than many other dealers. The biggest thrill of my life. The worst thing about being a dealer is that I would not have any time to sell. I would probably make more money, but it is not much more, and I would have to give up the biggest trail of my life. The excitement of the closing the 5 or more sales almost every day. No deliverer can ever expect to that, and I would not give up the anything. Not that winning a dealership is not a particularly responsible way to making a living. It's sincerely it's a but it's not much fun. It's a both ways to fun and the money. And I don't think there is any other way to much of joy of selling. About the only other things that expect me as most of the other activities I have gotten into the recent years that relate to selling. As I have said, the airport telling to salesmen and I prefer that produce the sales training films in the real way that are like selling Braille or Braille. It's some ways to the even better because they are more of the same. I have talked about leverage and about the trail of selling a car, but I have found that those two other activities let me put leverage that trail of selling together is a very special way. It's not exactly what the book is about, but let me explain it to you. And I think you understand that it's quite closely connected to what we are talking about. When I started on a platform and tell to other salesmen, there are the couple of pairs and I like the feeling and great when I finally close a customer in my office. On the platform, I get the sales feeling only more of it because I know that I am getting across of the room full of people. Afterward, they come up the tell how much of that what I say affected them. Tell me on the day were me that nobody else ever tells them as much about how selling really because nobody else who gives sales checks the mass of the types of experience. And I has had. That's part of the experiment to making claims. Two, knowing that the people who voice them have never seen anything as true of the life about their businesses. I am proud of what I do and how well I do it, and I got there until out the knowing that I am changing the professional lives to other salesmen. I like selling and helping other salesmen a lot more than I like the idea of the running a dealership. That's why I have started to do Girard sales course. Over the year, I have seen many people try their hand at selling only eventually to give up the style of the advanced income. I have always believed that if because people could not have to proper guidance to training very well probably be living it today in a manner which never would have thought possible. But just remember that when I use the Allen, the customer force to force in that critical confrontation where the love other salesman service working and you should look and get all the help you can afford it. That's the main British as well the pretty time the full time help because labor is exciting yourself most essentially. It's a way to make most of your time and your skill. Anybody who really wants to collaborate a kind operation, I build the wall dress genuinely and paid it's for a lot of extra money on growth breeding. It's a more customer and more help to more customer and more happy would note the sell help for me. And that's it's a way I can help for you. Don't think that I am laughing because I went from the some parameters to and get then to other people full time. I'm working just a long interest I used but I keep doing the better because I am doing all the time and now I what I based. Closing. The students did not climb the own interface. Here's the lawyer, the priest, the people, but that's consistent of what the big money is, the sugary. And that's where we are. Students after two sale at increase our time to cigarette realize somebody people and present of the let's get story We cut in through the customer fears and get to the insight of where we can cut away the self resistance. Get all the help you can. It builds, grows, and Nate. Thanks for listening.